There's something about 3 a.m. that feels almost mysterious, isn't there? The house is quiet, the world outside is still, and yet, there you are, wide awake, staring at the ceiling. Maybe you glance at the clock and think, again? Why does this keep happening? If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. So many of us over 60 find ourselves waking up at this odd hour, night after night, wondering what's going on. Now, you might have heard a few theories. Maybe it's stress, or your bladder, or just part of getting older. But what if I told you there's more to it than that? Waking up at 3 a.m. isn't just a random annoyance, it's your body's way of sending you a message. And the good news, once we understand what's really going on, we can do something about it. In this video, we're going to explore why this happens, what it means for your health, and most importantly, how you can finally get back to sleeping through the night. Because let's be honest, there's nothing like waking up feeling refreshed, ready to take on the day. And you deserve that. So, let's start with the first reason you might be waking up at 3 a.m. Your body's natural rhythms are shifting. As we get older, our internal clock, what doctors call the circadian rhythm, changes. You might notice you feel sleepier earlier in the evening, or that mornings don't feel as energizing as they used to. That's because the production of melatonin, the hormone that helps us sleep, starts to decline with age. So when you wake up in the middle of the night, it could simply be your body adjusting to these changes. But here's the thing, it's not just about hormones. The second reason is stress and worry. Now, I know what you're thinking. I'm not stressed. But sometimes stress doesn't show up as obvious anxiety. It might be a quiet undercurrent, a concern about family, finances, or even just the general state of the world. And guess what? Our brains love to process these worries in the dead of night, when everything else is quiet. So, if you're waking up with your mind racing, that could be why. And then there's the third reason, physical discomfort. Maybe it's a sore joint, a full bladder, or even acid reflux. As we age, our bodies become more sensitive to these little disruptions. Something that wouldn't have bothered us at 40 can now be enough to pull us out of deep sleep. Now, I know this might sound like a lot, but don't worry. We're just getting started. Because understanding why this happens is the first step to fixing it. And in the next part, we'll dive into some simple, practical changes you can make to start sleeping through the night again. Because you shouldn't have to just accept this as part of aging. You deserve restful, uninterrupted sleep, and it's absolutely within your reach. So let's keep going, because the best is yet to come. When we talk about sleep, it's easy to think of it as this simple, straightforward thing. You close your eyes, drift off, and wake up feeling great. But if you've ever spent a night tossing and turning, or staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., it's not always that simple. Especially as we get older. Now, in the first part, we talked about why this might be happening. Your body's natural rhythms changing, stress creeping in, or even little aches and pains nudging you awake. But here's the good news. Just because these things are common doesn't mean you have to just live with them. There are real, practical steps you can take to help your body settle back into deep, restful sleep. So, let's start with one of the most powerful tools you have, light. You might not realize it, but the amount and type of light you're exposed to during the day, and especially in the evening, has a huge impact on your sleep. See, your brain relies on light cues to know when it's time to be awake and when it's time to wind down. But as we age, our eyes don't take in as much light as they used to, which can confuse your internal clock. Here's what you can do. Try to get outside in natural sunlight for at least 20 to 30 minutes in the morning. Even if it's just sitting on the porch with your morning coffee, that daylight tells your brain, okay, it's daytime. time to be awake. Then, in the evening, start dimming the lights about an hour before bed. Avoid bright screens. Yes, that includes the TV and your phone, because that blue light tricks your brain into thinking it's still daytime. Instead, try reading a book by a soft lamp or listening to some calming music. Small changes, but they can make a big difference. Now, let's talk about your evening routine. You might not think much about what you do in the hours before bed, but this is when your body starts preparing for sleep. And one of the biggest culprits for middle-of-the-night wake-ups? Late night eating or drinking. If you're having a snack right before bed, especially something sugary or heavy, your body has to work to digest it, which can disrupt your sleep. And let's not forget about fluids. It's important to stay hydrated, but if you're drinking a lot of water or tea in the evening, you're more likely to wake up needing to use the bathroom. Try to finish eating at least 2 to 3 hours before bed, and limit liquids in the last hour or so. But here's something else that might surprise you. Your bedtime might be too early. Now, I know that sounds counterintuitive. After all, isn't it good to go to bed early? Well, yes and no. If you're hitting the sack at 8 p.m. because you're tired, but then waking up at 3 a.m. wide awake, your body might be telling you that you've had enough sleep. Instead of forcing yourself to stay in bed, try shifting your bedtime a little later, even by just 30 minutes, and see if that helps you sleep more soundly through the night. Now, I know some of these changes might feel small, even a little silly. But trust me, when it comes to sleep, the little things add up. And the best part? You don't have to do everything at once. Pick 1 or 2 of these tips to try tonight and see how you feel. Because here's the thing, sleep isn't just about feeling rested. It's about your overall health, your mood, even your memory. When you sleep well, you're giving your body the chance to repair itself, to process the day, and to wake up ready for whatever comes next. And that's worth a little effort, don't you think? So let's keep going. Because in the next part, we're going to talk about some of the most effective and often overlooked ways to finally put those 3 a.m. wake-ups behind you. And I think you're going to like what's coming. You know, there's something truly special about that feeling when you wake up naturally, well rested, without the jarring interruption of a 3 a.m. alarm clock your body seems to have set for itself. And if you've been following along with me through this series, you already have some powerful tools to help make that a regular occurrence. But before we wrap things up, I want to share a few more key insights, because sometimes the missing piece isn't what you'd expect. Let's talk about temperature. This might seem like a small thing, but it's actually one of the biggest hidden factors in sleep quality, especially as we get older. Our bodies are designed to cool down slightly at night as part of the natural sleep process. But if your bedroom is too warm, or if you're bundled up under heavy blankets, your body can't make that shift comfortably. The result? More tossing, turning, and waking up in the middle of the night. Here's a simple fix. Try lowering your bedroom temperature by just a few degrees. Experts say around 65 degrees Fahrenheit. 18 degrees Celsius is ideal for most people. If that feels too chilly, experiment with lighter bedding or moisture-wicking pajamas to help regulate your body's temperature throughout the night. And here's a pro tip. If you tend to get cold feet, which can also disrupt sleep, try wearing a pair of lightweight socks to bed. It sounds too simple to work, but for many people, it makes all the difference. Now, let's address something that doesn't get talked about nearly enough, the power of your daytime habits. You might not realize it, but what you do during the day, from the food you eat to how you move your body, plays a huge role in how well you sleep at night. First, movement. Regular physical activity is one of the best natural sleep aids there is. And I'm not talking about running marathons. A gentle 20 to 30 minute walk in the morning or afternoon can work wonders. The key is consistency and timing. Try to get your movement in earlier in the day, as exercising too close to bedtime can actually have the opposite effect. Then there's what you're putting in your body. That afternoon cup of coffee? It might be lingering in your system longer than you think. Caffeine can stay in your body for 6 to 8 hours, so if you're sensitive to it, try cutting off caffeine by noon. And while a nightcap might help you fall asleep initially, alcohol actually disrupts your sleep cycle later in the night, often right around that pesky 3 a.m. mark. But here's perhaps the most important piece of all, your mindset when you do wake up. Because let's be honest, even with all these changes, you might still find yourself awake sometimes in the middle of the night. And how you respond in those moments makes all the difference. The worst thing you can do: start stressing about being awake. That creates a cycle of anxiety that makes it even harder to fall back asleep. Instead, try this. Keep the lights off, don't check the clock, and practice slow, deep breathing. Remind yourself that resting quietly with your eyes closed is still beneficial, even if you're not fully asleep. More often than not, you'll drift back off before you know it. Now, I want you to take a moment and think about how far we've come in this conversation. We've covered everything from your body's natural rhythms to practical changes you can make tonight. And here's what I hope you take away from all of this. You have more control over your sleep than you might think. It's not about magic pills or complicated routines. It's about understanding what your body needs and giving it the right conditions to thrive. So as we close, I want to leave you with this thought. Every great day starts the night before. When you prioritize your sleep, you're not just investing in rest. You're investing in your energy, your health, and your ability to enjoy all the things that make life wonderful. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Have you tried any of these tips? What's worked best for you? Your experiences might help someone else who's struggling with those 3 a.m. wake-up calls. And if you found this video helpful, do me a favor and hit that like button. It helps others find this information too. Remember, age is just a number, but how you feel is everything. Here's to waking up refreshed, energized, and ready to make the most of every day. Until next time, sweet dreams. You've earned them.